Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we have a story time video, and I'm going to tell you all about my new Tacoma. Tell you the story as to why I even have one. I'll give you some details on it, what it cost, all that kind of stuff, and everything from start to finish. All right, from the idea of getting one, possibly, to right now. So the truck is filthy. You can see where it's clean right here, where I took the badge off and cleaned it. We did get a decent little rain there, but I actually have to go bring it to the car wash and clean it. So anyway, where do I start? Why do I even have a Tacoma? I really did like my my RAV4. There was no issues with it at all. I enjoyed it. It was still, in my opinion, an expensive vehicle, but I was able to finance it, and it was okay. So I want to say like maybe 6 or 8 months ago, my father had mentioned that he wanted a Toyota Tacoma. Now my dad's wanted a Tacoma for years, many years, on and off, just randomly would say, you know, he wanted it. He had a Ford Ranger, a 150, way back in the day when we lived in Jersey. He did a renovation to our house to turn our garage into a room. My grandmother was sick and she had to come live with us, and man, he used that truck every single day. Loved it. Eventually it blew up. I forget what happened. There was some repair or something, and the fan was broken when it was closed and it overheated. I don't know, some story along those lines. So he no longer had the Ranger. But yeah, he always liked the Tacomas, especially the older ones. So he kind of had this dead set plan in his mind that he was going to get one. By the way, sorry about any bug activity out here. I'm sure I'm a little mini feast while I sit here doing this video. But I want to give you something to look at, right? I might change the angle a couple times throughout the story. So anyway, so my father wants a Tacoma, right? So at this point he has a Mazda Miata. Now the reason he had the Miata is because he really wanted to have a convertible. Now let me step back just a little bit. My dad had some medical issues. It forced him to retire early, which he's not happy about. He didn't want to retire. My dad's worked every day of his life, and it's very difficult for him to not work. It really does bother him. But now that he's not working, he kind of needs things to distract himself, right? So at some point he said, you know what, I never had a convertible. I want to get a convertible. And when he was talking about it, he was talking about how everything's so expensive. And that's when I mentioned to him, why don't you look at Miatas? Miatas are probably one of the most affordable convertibles, especially if you buy it, you know, pre-owned, some miles on it and stuff. I loved the idea, started researching it, found a Miata, and he went and bought it. Nothing wrong with the car, loved the car. But then as a little bit of time went on, he was really sold on the idea of getting a Tacoma. He just kept thinking about it. Hey, I always wanted it, and obviously that's going to be better in the winter. The Miata was not obviously a viable option to get around, especially where he lives, where it is just, you know, pretty bad winters. Lots of snow, not a whole lot of road cleaning, at least early. You know, so he was sold on the idea. So he already knew he was going to get a Tacoma, and literally for months and months and months, he just kept talking about it. Now, him and my mother were both working on, you know, the right moment to do everything financially, and, you know, trying to settle some debts and just get things prepared to get the truck. And he was jonesing. I mean, he wanted the thing. You know, if it was up to him alone, he would have just went out and got one. But, you know, he's working with my mom to make sure they're going to get the right one at the right time. So this was, I mean, literally months and months. Every time I saw him, every time I talked to him, he's looking up Tacomas, he's talking about them. You know, very exciting. So one day, recently, actually about a month ago today or so, he just went and got one. That's it. My mom was off, you know, from work, and they were together hanging out, and what do you want to do? And he said, let's go get a truck. And they did. They surprised everyone, and he found a truck that he wanted. They've been looking at him for a while, literally months and months. Finally found one that was right for them. It was a 2015 6-foot bed. I think it's pretty much set up kind of like a Limited, only it was a base. So I think the actual model was a base, but it had a lot of extra stuff in it. You know, it was built specifically for its previous owner. So yeah, so he got this truck. He sent me a picture. He's so excited. I was so excited for him. And I was talking to Christina, my wife, and I jokingly said, hey, why don't we get a Tacoma too? And she actually loved the idea. I was completely joking. I had no problem with my RAV, but, you know, after really talking about it and having the conversation, I like the RAV, but I didn't love it. And what I mean by that is, you know, before that, I had my my Challenger. And the reason I get rid of my Challenger is solely on the worry that, you know, it was going to break down. I'm just, you know, I've had a bad experience, obviously, with Chrysler, and, you know, being a Dodge product, I loved it when I had it, and I did have the all-wheel drive version, which was actually pretty darn good in the snow. I think I have a video or two on it. But it's just something in the back of my mind. I'm like, you know what, this thing is just going to break down on me, and I'm going to be pissed, and it's going to be horrible. And I just couldn't shake that feeling. As much as I love the vehicle, I just cannot shake that. And it didn't have as much cargo space. Like, it had a big trunk, but the trunk was very low and deep, and like my wife had a hard time even reaching the back of it. And the back seat basically didn't exist, so we kind of wanted something with more room. And of course, it was during the pandemic, and so what ended up happening was the prices were crazy, so I was able to sell that and make money. So I did just that. I sold it to a dealership. I made $4 grand over what I owed, which was a really, really good price at the time. And so I took that and I used that as a down payment for the RAV4, which is a 21 RAV4. So got that vehicle, and I got it because it was reliable. Now, I turned out I actually really liked it. I had no problem with it. You know, it was a great vehicle. I would highly recommend them. If you like the RAVs, you should absolutely look into them. Now, obviously, you know, with every car or vehicle, there's certain years that might have, you know, certain issues you want to avoid and stuff. But my 2021 was beautiful. It worked out great. But we had this conversation, and we just started talking about how much better a truck would be. Not only is it even more capable than the all-wheel drive, you know, but when we want to go camping and stuff, it'd be great to have the bed. It's even more room. You know, it's even more of just a good vehicle for us, for me and my wife, and what we do, right? Now, obviously, there are inherent downsides. I don't get the same gas mileage. I was averaging 30 on the RAV4, and I'm averaging about 20-21 currently with this Tacoma. So I lost about, you know, 30% or so of my MPGs, and hit the pump a couple times. I'm coming up on 1,000 miles soon. I'm like just over 900 something. So the braking period is almost over, which I'm excited about because I've been definitely babying this thing. But yeah, the gas, it's a little bit more of a hit. On average, it's about $20 to $25 more every time I fill the tank. So that obviously is a downside. The actual price of the vehicle is much more expensive, and I'll talk about price in a little bit here. But, you know, those are pretty much the only downsides. It was very spontaneous. It was just kind of like, I made a joke, and we talked about it, and we go, yeah, and we convinced each other that this is going to be great. And so we did it. You know, I mean, life's short. You never know what's going to happen. Probably not the best financial decision. You know, a financial advisor probably would have said to just, you know, pay off the RAV and just drive it. But ultimately, you know, my wife was just kind of talking about it, like, you like the RAV, it's okay, but you're not like excited about it, you know. This Tacoma, I'm actually excited about. It's like when I had my Challenger. Like when I'm in the parking lot and I go walk towards it, I stop and take a picture of it. It's an exciting vehicle to me. The RAV4 wasn't exciting, it was just practical. You know, there was nothing wrong with it, but this is actually very exciting. And, you know, she always talked about how she liked the Chevy. She liked the Chevy a lot. She always thought I was a truck guy. You know, I look good in a truck. I'm a bigger dude. So, you know, that sold me on a little bit, of course. And, you know, so at the end of the day, we knew we were going to get one. And it happened like that. I mean, we had the idea. The very next day, I mean, we were looking at them all night. The very next day, we talked to the dealership. My wife inquired about a specific model because there's certain things that we both wanted. I'll talk about that a little bit later, some different features and stuff. And we found one that was supposed to be arriving at the dealership within a week or so. So day one, made a joke, hey, let's get a Tacoma. Day two, we're talking to the dealer. Day three, we're at the dealer buying it. So just like the Challenger, I bought it sight unseen. It was still in transit. It was built. I had all the specs. I had stock pictures. I even have actual pictures of it. And that was it. We went in there. It's funny because we talked to our car salesman was brand new. I mean, like it was his first week. And he was making all kinds of mistakes. And, you know, of course, me and Christine are just kind of joking about it. Like, that's our luck. We're going to get the brand new guy. And he did. He made a ton of mistakes, but we really liked him. He was a younger dude, and he was just really, really nice. He had kind of some, like, I don't know. I feel like he was a little autistic or something. Like just the way he talked and the way he made jokes, you know, like it was very unprofessional. Maybe it was just because he was new. I don't know. But he was a likable person. He was fun. You know what I mean? So anyway, so we're sitting down, we're going over all the details about it. Now, it's important to note that he's brand new and he's making mistakes because he made a massive mistake, and we probably had a really good chance of walking away and not getting this because of it. It was a numbers mistake he made. So anyway, we wanted this specific model. This is a TRD off-road, and that's kind of the middle tier-ish. I mean, you could start with an SR for like 26 with nothing in it. Then you move up to the SR5, right? Then you move up to, what, the TRD Sport. Then you have the TRD Off-Road. Then I think there's another model in there before you get to the Pro. I think some kind of off-road edition, or I forget, something specific. But the whole deal with the off-road is I wanted the extra ability of off-road capability. Not only deep in the back of my mind, the whole prepper type thing, like, hey, if I'm going to get a truck, let me get a truck that like can do some stuff. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with getting a TRD Sport or even like an SR. Nothing wrong at all. But I wanted 4x4, of course. I wanted the differential lock, which the off-road and the Pro have. Oh, the limited. I forgot there's a limited as well, which is kind of like the classy version of everything, right? The limited. But I also wanted all the technology stuff, and my wife is a huge tech person, so she wanted like the 360 cameras, which are absolutely awesome. There's a camera in the front by the grill, of course. There's a camera on each side underneath the side mirrors, and then there's a reverse camera. Now, something interesting, if you didn't know this, I think since 2017 maybe, they passed a law that every vehicle that's new has to have a reverse camera. So when you go to buy a car, everything has a reverse camera now. That's just standard because there's a law. I only recently learned that. I thought that was pretty fascinating. So anyway, getting back to this truck, it had everything that we wanted, and the list price was $46,000. Now, $46,000 is a lot of money, and I would never think that I would ever finance something that expensive. And ultimately, I didn't. The price came down, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, when you look at these Tacomas, there are a ton of options. Not only all the trim levels that I mentioned, but there's a lot of different package deals you can get. You know, obviously it's offered in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. You can get these with a 5-foot bed or a 6-foot bed, but not all combinations. In fact, we went with the short bed because we really wanted to have that 360 camera. We really wanted to have the leather interior and a sunroof, and that was not offered in a 6-foot bed. Given the choice, I probably would have went with the long bed. But as far as off-roading goes, the slightly shorter, you know, distance with the wheels and everything, that is actually a little bit better. But for me, I mean, more storage is always better. So I would have totally gotten a long bed, but it just wasn't available for all the things that we wanted. So, you know, we're talking with this new guy, this, you know, car salesman, and everything sounds great on paper. And, you know, the whole reason we were there too is the RAV4 was pretty much at a peak value. So the idea that, you know, and this is again part of the conversation with my wife, like, okay, well, what do you want to do when you pay off the RAV? I'm like, well, I'll probably sell and get something else. She's like, well, why are you going to wait until you pay it off? And, you know, and it's worth way, way less, obviously, in a few years with a lot more mileage on it, when right now it's worth more than we owe. So that was also kind of a convincing thought. I'm like, yeah, you know what, you're right. If I want something different, why don't I just get it now? And that's what we did. So they offered us, I think it was $6,000 over what we owed on the loan. All right. And that was going to be a down payment. So long story short, I got down to the nitty gritty with the numbers with the salesman, and it would work out to be $599 a month for the payment. Right now, this is if, and because they're not running my my credit or anything yet. That's with good credit. That's with I think a 6.99% interest rate for excellent credit. Now, this is something else that is just kind of unfortunate, is the poor timing. It's not a great time to buy a vehicle or anything because the interest rates are high. Now, we had unprecedented low interest during, the big problem, let's call it. My RAV, I got a 1.94% interest rate, which is like unheard of. And I was used to that. I was used to that interest. So when they came back and said, yeah, your interest rate could be anywhere from maybe 6.9 to 9.9, I'm like, I can't do that. That's not only would the numbers not work out, but that's just ridiculous. I'm like, I'm not going to pay that much interest. So we're sitting there, and the payments are just a little higher than I wanted them to be, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't know. I literally told this guy I'm going to do a coin toss. So I take out my wallet, and in my wallet I keep a silver generic buffalo round. And I said, I'm going to flip this coin. And if it turns out to be heads, I'm going to buy this truck. If it comes out to be tails, I'm leaving right now. The kid, our salesman, looked like he was going to throw up. He's like, oh my God, are you serious? And I said, yeah, I'm serious. So I'm like, here we go. And I flipped the coin, and Christina's looking at me like I'm nuts. This is totally very dramatic, by the way. This salesman's starting to sweat and stuff. He's like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my commission because of some stupid coin toss. I flip it, I look at it, and guess what it turns out to be? Tails. So he's looking at me with like this crazy stare, and I'm looking at Christina. I said, that's it. We got to go. It turned out to be tails. And she's looking at, like, neither one of them had any idea what I'm doing. And then I'm like, nah, forget it. We'll just buy it anyway. So this big dramatic coin toss meant absolutely nothing, because truthfully I wanted the truck anyway. I was just in the moment. I was really just on the fence. I really just, half of me wanted to just leave. It's going to be too expensive. And the other half's like, nah, screw it. I just, I want it. So the coin toss didn't mean anything. So we ended up wanting it anyway. So what we ended up doing was I talked to the, finance guy. I had him run my credit. It came back. He gave me this whole speech about, how it's nice to see someone who's younger with good credit and stuff. And everyone comes in here and says they have good credit, but they don't. And so he said he's going to, hook it up and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a sales thing. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I need the numbers. At the end of the day, I just need to know what the numbers are. What is the monthly payment going to be based on these different rates? Because they didn't actually start talking to banks yet. Now, at this point, it's late. It's late in the day. The dealership is already closed. And, these people are just staying after for us talking to us. So I said, listen, I'm going to come back. And when the truck, is closer to actually arriving here, and then we can actually run the numbers with the bank and see what everything's going to be, right? So we leave, not buying anything. They gave us free lunch, which is nice. It's like a little restaurant inside the dealership. And every time you go there, if you talk to someone like you're going to buy something, they're like, hey, everything's on us. So you go there and you get a sandwich and get some chips and a drink or whatever, or, some fruit or what. They got this whole big restaurant, like snack bar thing. So essentially we went there, talked a bunch, didn't do anything. We didn't actually buy anything. So we ended up going back. We got a call. He said it could be anywhere from a week to a month. We got a call like 4 days later. Okay, it's arrived. If you want to come in, we'll talk and do some paperwork if you want to buy it. So now we go back, and we're excited about it. At this point, I do want to buy it. All right, so fast forward a couple days. We get the call. Hey, the truck's arrived. You want to come down? I said, yep, absolutely. We went straight down there. Very excited to buy the truck. I already have, again, these numbers in my mind. Then we ended up talking to a different finance guy because the first one wasn't there. And when we're running the numbers on everything, he's like, okay, so you're putting 9 down. And I said, yeah, we're putting 6 from the, the trade-in, and we're going to put 3 down on a credit card. And he said, oh, no, how are you paying for the 9? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, they have in the notes here that you're going to put 9,000 down plus the 6,000 for the trade-in. And my wife and I looked at each other like, no, what are you talking about? So now the finance guy is kind of freaking out because we have no idea that we're supposed to be putting down all this extra money that we obviously aren't prepared for and frankly can't. So at this point, I basically told the guy, I'm like, I don't know what happened here, but I talked to the salesman and we let him know multiple times that we're using the 6,000 from the trade-in and we're putting 3,000 on a card for a total of 9 down. That's where we need to be with our numbers if I get this specific interest rate that I'm looking to get. So now he's frustrated. I said, well, we got to go. I said, I'm not buying this truck if, I got to put, all this extra money. I don't have it. So now he leaves and he goes to talk to the manager who deals with the salesman. Then the manager comes in. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with the confusion. So as it turns out, the salesman, who's brand new, misunderstood what we said, even though we literally mentioned it multiple times. And so now the manager's come in and he's trying to work with us to make sure that we could buy this vehicle. Because I said, look, I got to walk. I said, I can't afford this. Now, let me go back a little bit. And this is all personal information, but I think it's, you know, important to kind of talk about the details a little bit because it goes with the story. Now, I was making $600 payments a month on my RAV4. Those weren't my actual payments. My payments were $558 a month. That's what I needed to pay. That's what I owed. And I was making $600 payments with the idea that putting a little extra in, I'm going to pay it off early. I did that with my Chrysler 200, and I ended up paying it off in 5 years instead of 6 years. So when we're running these numbers and stuff, I'm looking at, I have to be at $600 or less in order to make this work financially. And so when the guy comes back and says, okay, you're taking 6 from the trade-in and 9 down, your payments are going to be, or whatever, that is what got the payments down to 600, right? But now with the new math, the payments are estimated to be like 700 a month. I'm like, I can't do that. There's no way. 600 is already kind of a stretch for a car payment, and a car payment should be like 300 bucks. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, I'm like, look, I got to go. I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy this truck. And now the manager, he's like, well, listen, let's try to figure this out. He leaves, comes back after a while, comes back. He said, look, we can drop the truck down 2,500 bucks. So take 2,500 off the list of the truck, and then also offer me a less of an interest rate. So originally they wanted to give me like 699, then they made it 5.5. So 5.5% interest with the 6 down from the trade-in, the 3 on a credit card. That all brought the monthly payment to $614. And my initial reaction was, no, I got to stay under 600. And then, you know, my wife is kind of like holding my arm at this point, like, what's 14 bucks a month? Because it's kind of intense, you know, it's emotional, because I'm thinking I'm buying a truck, then I'm thinking I'm not buying a truck. It was kind of a big thing. And I'm like, you know what? All right, 14 bucks a month's not going to break this. I said, well, we'll take it. So that was it. We bought the truck. So those are my monthly payments, $614 a month, which is more than I expected. Plus, I got $3,000 on a credit card I got to pay off too. But I have a absolutely beautiful truck, and as long as I can keep making those payments, I love to keep this, you know, for 20 years. You know, the thing with the RAV is that, I mean, the RAV could have lasted probably 20 years. You know, 300,000 miles or more. You know, if properly maintained and continuously fixed. But it wasn't as exciting. You know what I mean? Like, I love this truck. I loved my Challenger. But the difference is that not only is this truck just really capable and has plenty of storage, which we both definitely need in our lifestyle. We constantly have a bunch of crap in our vehicle. But it's just cool. That's really what it comes down to. It's cool. It's capable. Again, the prepper in me is like, oh, this is going to be great if something actually ever goes down. You know, even if like I'm stuck on the highway, you know, the RAV would have been okay, I guess, to maybe turn around. Like, let's say there's dead stop traffic, something's going on, something crazy's going on, and you got to get out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to have a decent truck to just like drive the median. You know, where I live in Pennsylvania, it's not a city. You know what I mean? I'm not really rural where I am. I'm more suburban, but it just gives me options, and I like the options. And the winters are kind of rough here. And it's nice to have something that's even more capable. Like I said, the RAV was okay. The all-wheel drive was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But this is better. It's much better. And in the future, if I ever do want to do a little off-roading for fun or something, like some light off-roading, I'm not going to be, you know, rock crawling or anything crazy. But it's just nice to have that option. And we happened to get this truck right before our camping trip, and it was wonderful. And looking back, I really have no idea how we would have brought all of our stuff in the RAV. So that's it. I got the truck. Now I have to make sure to keep paying for it until I own it. I do want to do modifications to it, but not right away. Not only because I can't afford it, but I don't want to mess around with any warranty issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to keep this Toyota warranty until it's out. When it's up, I will absolutely do some things like, you know, possibly lift it, push out the tires a little bit, maybe get some slightly bigger tires. But as it is stock right now, I absolutely love this thing. I mean, it's a smooth ride. It feels good. It has enough power. You know, it's not going to blow your socks off as far as compared to other trucks. I know a lot of people crap on the, you know, the V6 because of the gas mileage you get. And certain trucks, you can get a nice big V8 and get similar gas mileage and have a little more power. But I'm not worried about towing, but I do have the capability of towing. So that might be a possible thing in the future if I want to get a trailer, or, you know, a small one or something. You know, just simple stuff. Like with the Rav, I had the racks on top, and my wife wanted to, you know, get some bicycles so we can go somewhere and ride bikes, or, you know, kayak and stuff, and that's just a little more difficult, but not with the truck. The truck makes everything a lot easier. So yeah, that's my story. I love the truck. It's expensive, but I think it's worth it. At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to, is I think it's worth it. I don't mind, you know, stretching it a little bit and making those payments. You know, obviously with anything, it feels good once you own it. But like I said, I mean, part of me just, you know, always thinks like, you know, just life's short, have some fun within reason. This is my reasonable fun. Now, for some people, it might not seem all that reasonable. You might think that's ridiculous. You know, just go get one that's 25 years old with 250,000 miles on it, you know, for 14 grand or whatever. The problem that I have is that I wouldn't be opposed to buying something pre-owned. But again, the market currently, the used Tacomas are so expensive, it just makes sense to pay a little extra and get something brand new. Now, something else that I quite enjoy about this truck is that this is probably the last naturally aspirated V6 engine that's going to be in a Tacoma. Obviously, you see the 2024s that are coming out. It's a turboed 4-cylinder. That seems like the future of the car industry because of the ridiculous, you know, green agenda. I'm not going to get in a whole rant about that, but they're just putting small engines, so on paper it looks like it makes less pollution. It's stupid. The whole thing is pretty stupid. I'm not totally against like hybrids and stuff and, you know, electric vehicles for certain situations, but come on. It's not something that I personally enjoy. I like a regular engine, you know? And so part of the thinking behind this, part of the reason, or reasoning rather, is that, you know, this will hopefully retain its value because it's the last of the third gen. It's the last of its kind. I don't know if we'll ever see another, you know, V6 Tacoma in the future. Turbocharged 4s, full electric, that's the future across the board. So 5, 10, 15 years from now, people are going to be looking for Tacomas, and there's going to be a lot of guys and some women who want a naturally aspirated 6-cylinder. And this will be the newest one that has tons of features and still has all this capability. So hopefully it retains its value, and I think it will for the most part. I mean, compared to a lot of other vehicles. But again, not looking to get rid of this anytime soon. Unlike the Rav, when I pay this off, I would just love to enjoy not making payments, but I still want the vehicle. I want this for 400, 500,000 miles. That's my goal, is just keep it from rusting out, because unfortunately, you know, in Pennsylvania we have, you know, horrible winters and lots of salt and stuff like that. I feel like, you know, obviously why people buy a Tacoma is because it's a reliable vehicle. So I don't have any issues or concerns or worries about, you know, the engine blowing up or transmission or, you know, anything like that. It's really, the biggest concern is just keeping it from rusting out. And if I could do that, I think it'll last as long as I want it to. But yeah, it's got lots of bells and whistles and lots of capability for what it is, which is, you know, it's considered a mid-sized truck, but it's kind of small. And it's kind of weird because sometimes I get into it and it feels big. It feels like a big truck, but it's not. And other times I look at it and it seems tiny. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of weird like that. If you guys know, I had an 86 Chevy K20. That was a big truck. That had a full 8-foot bed, big old clunker. This is different. This is very modern to me. So totally different driving experience. Also, real quick, I want to mention, because a lot of people are asking, hey, Jeff, I'm a big dude. You're a big dude. Is it comfortable? Yes, it's comfortable inside, unless you're like 6'4", you know. Even then, I've seen people talk about it's fine. My only issue with comfort is my right leg leaning on like the center console part, and I'll talk about this more in depth in the future, because I'm gonna make like a 5 things I hate about my Tacoma video. Even though I love everything about it, there are a couple things that are annoying. But I think you get that with literally anything you drive. So anyway, that's pretty much it for now. I do absolutely love the truck, and like I said, now it's just a matter of paying back the bank so I can own it one day. That would be nice. So I am doing little tinkering kind of mod stuff. You'll see videos here and there, little things, you know, nothing crazy. I know people would love to see it, you know, all like, you know, overland makeover and stuff, and big, like I say, huge tires, big lift, big, you know, cage, all that kind of stuff. That's big money. That's big money. You know, it's a almost $50,000 truck. You could put $50,000 in accessories in it easily. Easily. You watch all these guys who do that kind of stuff, and I mean, that's big money. I'm not looking to spend big money. The big money goes towards actually, you know, making payments on it. But little things here and there, I'll certainly share. So if you guys have Tacomas out there, you can maybe get ideas on stuff and enjoy that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. So stay tuned. Like I said, I'll do a 5 things I hate about my Tacoma. Eventually, I'll do a 5 things I love about it. There's way more than 5 things I like about it, quite a bit. But I do just really love this truck. It's a vehicle that I'm proud to get in every day. And like I said, I'm literally taking pictures of it every chance I get. I think it's awesome. So that makes me feel good. And I think that's worth an extra $14 a month, essentially. So that's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Let me know down in the comment section if you have a Tacoma. By the way, like I like the whole taco thing. I get it, you know, or the Yoda. But yeah, you know, I'm trying to kind of, I don't know. It's just, there's like 3 major things when you talk about these Tacomas. It's like Yoda, right? People say Yoda, or people say taco, or they start talking heritage and get all the heritage badges and stuff like that. It's all cool. I'm just kind of staying neutral with this. I like the outdoor theme. That's, if I have to pick a theme, that's what I'm going with. And by the way, I did name my truck. My truck is named Rocco because it is a taco. So Rocco Taco. I kind of wanted to go with, I wanted to name it Juan, Juan, because this is made in Mexico. Hopefully that doesn't, you know, change its reliability down the road. I don't think it will, but who knows. But my wife didn't like that. So Rocco it was. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so now the video's over, I realized that I never changed the view. I was planning on literally circling this every couple of minutes, but I completely forgot because I just kept talking. So there you go. There's another view. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.